If only 1/100th of what they say about this man is true, he is phenomenal. His name is Sai Baba. He has followers all over the world who believe that he is the reincarnation of a revered Indian holy man, that he can produce miracles, that he, if he wants to, can appear right next to you, wherever you are, and that he is no less than God on earth.
South India, Bangalore. This is where many people searching for something start a 3-hour taxi journey to see a man called Sai Baba. Soon 150 young people from England will be coming this way. 2 of them grew up in a family who follow Sai Baba, and they've been here before.
She woke up one morning and said, I've got to go see Sai Baba, and then we went and it started from there at 18. Yeah, really. And my mum never pushed it. There's always been pictures in the house. But yeah, I woke up one morning, we were 17, and I said, Mommy, I've got to go to India.
I'm on my way to see Sai Baba as well, sharing a taxi with a devotee. Devotees believe quite simply that Sai Baba is nothing less than God on earth. Hillary Clinton has come this way, and Raisa Gorbachev, and Fergie. India has thousands of yogis, maharishis, swamis, and godmen. Why go to see Sai Baba?
It was no good having it up there because it was always foggy.
For me, it all began recently when someone in my family here suddenly became very sick. One day they were okay, the next they were struggling. We were losing someone, and we were willing to try anything and anyone. Someone we knew had 2 friends who follow Sai Baba, and in desperation I came to see them, Jacqueline and Desmond Lloyd Davies. They were the first devotees I'd met, and devoted is right. Twice a year they go to India. The heat is fierce, a tropical disease put Jacqueline in hospital, but it's worth it to be near Sai Baba. They put up with living pretty rough. When they're preparing a trip, they even carry their own food.
One of the first signs of going to India is the buying of the cup of soups and lining the suitcase bottom and feeling that we're on our way. They assume an importance, probably, that they don't deserve. But having said that, the quick fix soups, it's certainly not a quick fix going to see Baba. You don't have the quick fix spirituality. And
what happens?
Well, you go along, you get your accommodation, you're flabbergasted at the multitude of devotees there from, I think, 137 countries. And the cultures and the religious backgrounds of all the devotees all sitting together, not one of them complaining about the other. I mean, Sikhs, Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, Christians, all the major religions are sitting together. Where else in the world would you find that?
Now, Desmond, what do you feel about this Sai Baba?
Well, I feel, the first thing I had these books given to me, I had been searching, a long time, for years, and I thought, when I read those books, this man has certainly got something that I want. And of course, there's no doubt about it that I had to go out to India to see this man. And
you
to
found it?
Find out for myself, yes indeed. I did find it in Baba. And,
Could I find a cure in their Sai Baba for my sick relative? They decided that every day, they and other devotees they knew, and I, wherever we were and whatever we happened to be doing, should stop and meditate for 15 minutes. We should think about Sai Baba and the sick person, and we should all do it at exactly the same time. Synchronized praying can make a normal life a little difficult. In the week we were doing it, I found myself having to freeze in all sorts of inconvenient places, and I sometimes felt fairly foolish. All this for some distant guru. But missing the odd train seemed a small price to pay while I hoped for a cure for my relative and waited to see if anything would happen. A week after the prayers to Sai Baba, the illness went. Overnight, it was gone, completely. The patient had been seen by a hospital consultant and was just starting a long course of medication. But the doctors were clear it could not possibly have had any effect in a few days. But the patient had also been to an acupuncture clinic and had treatment from a professor of 5 elements acupuncture. So the cure seems to have been either acupuncture or Sai Baba or both. Then I learned that one of the heads of Sai Baba's organization in London had been an acupuncturist and had trained under the same professor who treated my relative. Just a coincidence? I didn't know, but I did know I wanted to find out more. I sent for details about going to Sai Baba's ashram, and I wrote to one of the big TV companies and asked if they'd back me to make a documentary there.
Hello, Jack Pizzey.
Sai Baba's people phoned that they'd help me in India, and the head of the TV company phoned that they would fund the trip.
Yeah, that's really good. Mm-hmm. Fantastic, great.
Those two calls came within minutes of each other, just as I'd been putting a picture of Sai Baba on my desk. Even a skeptic couldn't help wondering at all the coincidences.
What I really want to know about is your sort of connection.
Indian mysticism doesn't generally go with boardroom high flyers like the TV boss I'd written to. He is Bruce Gingell, head of Yorkshire Times Television. What was it that made him back this film?
Do you know anything about Sai Baba?
No, I don't. I've heard of Sai Baba. I've never written his books or heard his tapes or anything other than I know the name Sai Baba.
Why do you think it's a good idea to make a film?
I do think there is a lack of spirituality in the world. I think that is probably the only real potential for the world is to discover its spirituality and to understand that it's just not mind and body, it's mind, body and spirit that makes the triumvirate.
You know there are a lot of young people going out at the moment.
So that excited me because I think the old people are probably fairly rigid, whereas young people have a chance to be flexible and move their perceptions and perhaps change the world. I heard a fantastic quotation the other day from Robert Kennedy Jr. He was speaking at a conference I was at, and he said, "I think you should all remember perhaps the Dakota Indian saying, which is, we do not inherit the earth, we borrow it from our children." And so the thought of young people going out and exploring, being sufficiently open to look for other opportunities or other possibilities, I think is always important.
Would you be interested in going out to see Sai Baba yourself?
Yes, I would. If the fact of this takeover that I'm in the midst of at the moment wasn't happening, I'd certainly be going along with you. I mean, I'd be very fascinated to meet Sai Baba. Maybe he's the person that's going to show me that path to get through one further incarnation.
In a hall on the east side of London, the young Brits who are going out to India have come together for a briefing. What they're going to is Sai Baba's first international youth conference.
And dividing you into groups. As you can imagine, there's going to be about just under 150 youths travelling from the UK. So trying having all the information disseminated to you every morning is going to be pretty tough, trying to get all 150 of you together.
That today is an opportunity for you to connect with each other. Because we're going as a UK delegation. And we need to represent
For most of them,
UK.
it'll be the first encounter both with India and with its most famous holy man. On their spiritual quest, what are they hoping for?
I live away from home. I actually live in Italy, and being away from home for so long made me make certain choices. And I often find it really hard to find like a set of moral values to follow and to guide me. And this is what I'm finding at the moment.
I want to feel what other people have said they feel.
What's that?
An inner light.
Energy.
Yeah, you know. to feel what God is, maybe.
And what's going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I don't really know what's going to happen. I'll probably just break down and cry when I see him the first time. But that's if he looks at me. But I don't know. I mean, I just want to go, first of all, you know, to see Swami, because we'll be there like 10 days before the conference. And then during the conference, just to try and absorb as much as I can to kind of take it with me back to England and then back to my home country, South Africa, when I eventually get back there.
It's quite difficult to explain, but if I gave you a pinch, you wouldn't be able to show me that pinch, will you?
No.
But you'll be able to feel it.
Yeah.
So it's like that. I feel Sai Baba's presence inside me. And that's basically it now. Why I'm going to India is because there's so much to learn. I mean, I've never been there before. I could learn so much from him, from people around me. I've learned so much today, meeting new people. It'll just be a challenge, an experience. Life's a challenge, so I may as well challenge it.
And it's important not to miss this youth conference.
Why?
So that's what Swami needs. He needs the young people to get on and get out there and tell them what it's all about.
Other people need to see other people, and we need to project the right image that people can see. There's definitely
That's
something.
how this all develops.
And what are you getting for yourself out of this? It's a long way to go.
To make my life easier. God's help, everything's better.
I'll second that.
My daughter was too young to join the group going to India, but she'd followed our family's bid for help, and she was curious.
Why are you going to go to the ashram?
Well, I'm going because I've heard these strange things about this man, and I want to see whether it could possibly be true.
What do you expect to get out of it?
Quite a hard time. I'm told that people sit for hours on hard concrete floors just to get a glimpse of Sai Baba, or Swami as they call him, sometimes miles away, and yet most people seem to come away saying they feel strangely wonderful. So I hope that happens for me.
In India, with 50 miles to go to the ashram and whatever I was going to discover there, I was thinking back to an encounter with the world of Sai Baba I'd had before I left London. I'd gone to one of several houses in England where devotees claim that Sai Baba manifests himself in a strange way. Sai Baba is known for making fine powdery ash fall from his hand, and this is one of the British homes where they say that such ash mysteriously appears on pictures of him. I came to visit Mr. and Mrs. Yoshi to see for myself.
The pictures are covered in ash.
Absolutely. Sometimes Swami covers his face with lots of vibhuti. Yeah. I would like to see Swami's face.
You think you should still see his face?
I said, Swami, I'm going to clear your face. I clear his face. But as I clear the face, you can see it's coming more again on the face as well. He's covering the face again.
Do you see the ash appearing on the pictures? No. So when does it appear?
It can appear even now. We just turn our back and it can. But Swami is probably here now, looking at us. We are filming him. Do you want to test it now a little bit?
Well, I'd love to, yes. This comes from the jars, does it? What do you do with that?
I do it hand like that.
Yes.
Preferably right hand, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're left
let's
hand.
do it with the right hand. Right.
Yeah, and then eat it. That's right. I ate tons of it.
Sort of scented perfume, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And this appears all the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to take it with the spoon?
I can take a little.
The ash has been reported here for several years now. Sometimes it forms the symbol for Om, the mantra of meditation. Sometimes it's on pictures of Sai Baba's predecessor, Shirdi Baba. Now, I have an obvious question, obvious to me, but to a devotee, it's stupid.
How did it actually appear on the pictures? How does it appear?
Well, what do you think the God is? He's omnipresent. That's what he says. He's everywhere. And this is the way of his showing that, look, this is what, I can do anything here. But we have Baba's own room upstairs, where my wife will lead you up to that.
According to a report in the Daily Telegraph in 1992, a scientific researcher at London University analysed some ash that had apparently been materialised by Sai Baba in India and found it to have the same chemical constituents as cow dung burned to ash. In the Indian system of Ayurvedic medicine, burned cow dung is believed to have healing properties. The same researcher was reported to have watched ash actually forming on pictures. The ash is called vibhuti. Hema Yoshi says that she often dreams about Sai Baba with vibhuti coming from his hand to be stored here in her house and given to devotees.
But you've never seen it actually appearing on the picture?
No, never. I have seen him like filling up the jars like this. Like, for example, we leave the jar here, empty jar here. Whenever he comes to me in my sleep, and when he talks to me, actually I can see the ashes coming out of his hand. So I wake up after Swami's gone. Yeah. I just wake up. And I wake up my husband as well. I said, can you please, let's see, this was Swami was doing. Can we see what's really, whether it is true or not? So when we come to in the room, Sarai room, the jar is full of vibhuti.
India. I approached Sai Baba's ashram on the same day as the 150 young delegates from England. The town is called Puttaparthi. It's grown up around a small house where the man we're coming to see was born. Your first stop at Puttaparthi is to buy a mattress. With two of the girls from the English delegation, we're getting set up for a 2-week stay. Though, as we'd soon find out, sleeping is not big on the agenda when you come to see Sai Baba. Puttaparthi gets bigger every year. There's one of Sai Baba's 5 free universities here and one of his free schools. There's a museum of man's heritage which promotes all mankind's main religions. India's Justice Minister recently described Puttaparthi as the spiritual center of the world. For virtually nothing, you get space in one of dozens of accommodation blocks. Talking is not encouraged, thinking is. You're here to see a man who says he is God, and that so are you, but that you haven't found out yet. Lights out comes early, and by 4 in the morning you're up to a raucous dawn chorus of crows. By now you're sitting cross-legged on the ground with thousands of others waiting to be allowed into the place where Sai Baba will appear. The place is coming to life with chanted Sanskrit prayers vigorously bringing in another South Indian day. After a couple more hours waiting, you're allowed inside. Men on one side, women on the other, and it's time for darshan, the twice-daily service at which you'll get to see Sai Baba. To them, he's Swami. Around me I've seen men with blissful smiles on their faces, men holding their hands out as if to catch something radiating from the small sympathetic figure in the orange robe. I can't feel anything remarkable, just the stone floor I'm sitting on and their excitement. The youth festival has filled the place. For the British delegates, there's a workshop on the teachings of the Master. Delegates have come through nearly 1,700 Sai Baba centres around the world in search of a spiritual adventure. Enlightenment is their goal. They're looking for something more than was ever taught in their schools and universities. Food at Puttaparthi is almost free. On Sai Baba's birthday, hundreds of thousands of people are fed completely free. All the cleaning and cooking and taking around of food is done by sevadars, unpaid volunteers, people from all walks of life who come for a time to serve. The supper trucks round off the day, and the girls from England put in a rehearsal of a song they'll be doing during the youth festival.
That is the way to live your life. Right conduct. That is the way to lead your life. With truth by your
The festival gets its formal opening tomorrow. One of Sai Baba's aides, a doctor from the US, has made a speech about the number of delegates here from each country, and he's being told that he got his figures wrong.
Swami has corrected an error that I made when I described the number of delegates and the number of countries. India also has sent a body of delegates. 12,000 delegates.
Wrong again. Should have been 10,000. Sai Baba usually speaks in the local dialect, Telugu, with a translation into South Indian English.
What's the reason?
The songs and chants are mostly in Sanskrit. Although Sai Baba supports all faiths, here in India, Hindu customs are generally followed. There's a lot of music at Puttaparthi, and one of its stars is a British concert pianist who has been known to take the podium in full white tie and tails and a big grin.
I really want to know about how you came to be a believer, a devotee.
Through extraordinary stories and situations, I got out to Swami. And he was near Bangalore at the time. And there were about 7,000 or 8,000 people there, which rather shocked me to start with. And we were at the back, and I was sitting there, and this little figure in orange came out with the black fuzzy hair and sat in a chair at the front there. Well, I've played for the royal family and Paul McCartney, people like that, as a concert pianist. And I know what it feels like to be in the presence of a personality. And I thought, well, I don't know, I've travelled, 8,000 kilometres around the world to see you, and you're doing nothing to me. What's all this fuss about? And suddenly something hit me which I'll never forget in my life. It just seemed to hit me right in my chest like a Scud missile. And I can only describe it as a Scud missile of love. And I ended up crying my eyes out. And I thought, everybody's looking at me, I'm a right twit, an Englishman does not do this. What happened? It wasn't anything he said or did, it was just like an energy of love. And bluntly, I know people think you're crazy, but if one imagined what it was like to be in the presence of Jesus 2,000 years ago, that's all my mind could relate to. And yet there's this little figure, And then, of course, you get involved in sort of the rituals around him, and you think, oh no, what's going on here? Stop. What is this man standing for? Love. And his message is so simple. He's bringing the love of God to the world. He's not setting up a new church. He doesn't want you to change your religion. If as he said to me, you're Church of England, go back and be better Church of England. And if you're a Buddhist, go back and be a better Buddhist. Don't change, but take my example. Love all, serve all.
Love, universal love, has been preached often and believed seldom. But what the concert pianist had said about being hit by an explosion of love as he watched Sai Baba was working on my skepticism. What sort of person would not like to feel such a thing? A few miles from Puttaparthi stands Sai Baba's hospital. It's the second biggest hospital in Asia. How it came to be built is a story I heard from a friend of the American tycoon who paid for most of this. Apparently, when the tycoon was just a boy, his brother was killed and he became a recluse. Then a stranger appeared in the boy's room and told him to get on with his life. The stranger had afro hair and wore an orange robe. The boy got on with his life and eventually saw a picture of Sai Baba and, of course, recognized it as the stranger who'd appeared years before in his room. The American became a devotee. He went on to found the Hard Rock cafe chain and become rich. Then he sold the cafes, asked Sai Baba how he should use the money, and was told to get this hospital built. It was to be designed and constructed in just 12 months. The American went to a distinguished British architect who was not a devotee at that stage, Professor Keith Critchlow.
People talk about miracles in relationship to Sai Baba, but purely in worldly terms, that building of that hospital was totally miraculous. In terms of what it normally takes to do such a thing, a highly technical, very large, very complex building. Sai Baba said, come and see the site. We drove with him in his car. We looked at the site. Here was this flat piece of land with a few trees on it. And he said, in a year's time, we'll have the first operation on this thing. And I said, inside my head, I said, no way, that's possible. We worked out we only had 3 months to design the whole hospital. That meant every kind of specialization, total planning, numbers of everything, numbers of patients, sizes of wards, size of equipment. 3 months. That took us 17 architects working 17 hours a day for 3 months. And we produced a booklet with drawings this size. And that left them 7 months. The construction team in India, construction company ECC, it left them 7 months to build it. Well, as it takes 7 years to do a hospital in this country, what was achieved in 7 months in India would have taken 7 years here.
Treatment is free for everyone. Remarkable in a nation where there's very little free treatment in the cities and virtually none out in the country. Doctors and specialists come to Puttaparthi from all over the world to serve the patients without pay. Sai Baba's teaching calls for service to your fellow man. Some people claim miracles for Sai Baba and others scorn those claims. What is a miracle? This scanner would have been a miracle to our grandfathers. The first aeroplane, a miracle to their grandfathers. The first steamship, a miracle to their grandfathers. Sometimes at least, what is a miracle today is commonplace tomorrow. Time is all it takes to make the difference. Are there men, is Sai Baba one of them, who are ahead of their time? Donations keep the hospital going. Sai Baba tells his followers they should use their money to help others. There's a local health hazard that cripples people in this part of India, and it's the drinking water. There are dangerous levels of fluoride, and fluorosis twists bones and causes kidney stones, even in little children.
This was a stone you taken out.
What are they doing, Mikey? Oh, this was a stone taken out of this baby.
If you judge a man by his works, then Sai Baba's hospital can be quite a strain on your skepticism. Not far from Puttaparthi, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, is the district of Anantapur. It hasn't rained here for 25 years. To reach water, the wells have been sunk so deep that they've gone into a layer of fluoride-bearing rock. There is suffering in Anantapur. Too much fluoride does do terrible things. Sai Baba's answer is a system of reservoirs and pipelines bringing safe water to the region. As with the hospital, it's been constructed remarkably quickly and funded by charity, by devotees. The project was inaugurated by the President and Prime Minister of India. Usually, such projects are the work of governments. Nothing on such a scale has been done by a charity before, anywhere in the world. The water project brings water from the Chitravati River 100 miles away. It means safe drinking at last for 1.5 million people in 11 towns and 750 villages. 15,000 people worked on the project. One of the engineers found it a novel experience.
I have executed so many projects in so many places, but I have never seen this kind of project anywhere. It's funded by a charitable organization and purely for the cause of poor people without any other intention, just for the service of mankind.
And what is your personal feeling about the project?
Personal feeling is really it's a great project, and I can say the thirst is over now for the people.
Unlike many Indian gurus, Sai Baba has never been a jet-setter. He's left India only once in his 72 years, and that was to go to Uganda to warn the Indian community there to escape the country because the mad dictator Idi Amin would persecute them, as he later did. Each year, the students of the local Sai Baba schools and university put on a display. They study the usual subjects and take the national exams, and they also study what Sai Baba calls human values. They are told that man has lost his way with technology that can destroy the world and trade that impoverishes many to make a few rich. With such tools as meditation, they are taught to contain lust and greed and anger and to respect others. The ideals they are given are common to all religions and all cultures, but Sai Baba argues that we've almost forgotten them. Education must teach how to live, not just how to make a living. Sai Baba's human values system is reported to be very successful at calming disturbed, fractious children. It's in use in schools in at least 8 countries, including the USA and Canada, Britain and Australia. The delegates to the youth conference come together in the lecture hall. One of the speakers at the youth conference says his own youth began with wasted school days as a lazy kickboxing bully boy. Then a bright light appeared as he slept, and a voice told him to shape up. He became a space scientist on the Viking space project. Dr. Jumsai from Thailand.
That will lead us to the goal of our life. These are the 5 human values that he has come to give to us again so that we can change ourselves. And when we change ourselves, our surrounding will change. The family will start to change. And then from the family, our village, our society will start to change. Our nation will change. And then the whole world will change. But it has to start with each one of us.
Nature has emanated out of the divine. Therefore, every human being born in this nature has got the divine quality.
Devotion.
The first one, devotion. Discipline, second. Duty, the third. Young men and women, you are all very, very good. But
discipline మీరు చక్కగా గుర్తించి వర్తించాలి.
You should know the discipline and follow well.
Time to meditate on Sai Baba's words among the gods and symbols of man's various religions.
Been here about a week. How's it going? I've been getting up at 3 and 4 in the morning and going to those big meetings, waiting for something to happen. And it's pretty galling because you sit there with 15,000 people all around you who all seem to be getting some wonderful message, and I'm getting nothing. But I've got another week to go, so we'll see.
The Hindus pray for obstacles in their spiritual path to be removed by Ganesh, the elephant god. Maybe before you can hope to get very far spiritually, you have to take the huge step that's symbolized when they smash a coconut. You have to smash your own ego and let your pride and self-absorption drain away. Every day, Sai Baba picks a dozen or so devotees to spend half an hour with him in what's called the interview room. When David Bailey got close to Sai Baba, did anything happen?
I suddenly discovered he knew all about me, and yet I'd been in England, and he knew where I was born, every detail that was very personal. It's impossible to pick on one because he knew the lot. And he said, "Now, David," he said, "for you," waved his hand in his circular movement like he does, and suddenly, in mid-air, was a diamond ring, a massive diamond on it. And he said, "Now this fits your fourth finger of your left hand." And it slotted, and that's it. I mean, it's a huge lump of diamond.
One thing about the ring, the diamond, the big ring.
Yes.
Have you actually had it checked by a jeweller that it is a diamond?
I have had it checked. It's something that you don't do because you trust, all right? The value of this is immaterial to me because I know where it came from. But of course, human mind says, is it real or not? So I've not had any monetary value put on it, but I have had it looked at to see whether it is a diamond or not. And it's also, when they examined it, they said it's got 64 facets on it, which when I've been bored sometimes waiting for airplanes, I've counted and just managed to to suss out they're right. But it has been checked.
Were they impressed?
Yes. "Sir, where did you get this?" And when I sort of said out of mid-air in the middle of India, I think they called for the men with the white coats, you know.
You don't really see diamonds like that very often outside the crown jewels, I think, do you?
No. Not only since then have I had that, he gave me this one for my wedding, which was a little bit later on. Now, if I just take this off a second, when this appeared the first time, it appeared as an ordinary wedding ring, you see, just with the round. Then he blew on it, like that, and it turned to a flat top. And then he held it just steadily like this, all right? And then went, one of those stones appeared, 2 stones appeared. He blew on it 9 times, 9 stones appeared, holding it just as I'm holding it. None of this, no movement, no nothing. Okay, so we can still leave him as the magician if you want to. But then you see, some of the other times I've been with him, people have come in wheelchairs and walked out. People with cancer have been cleared. My own father, by a letter from me to him, was one moment had cancer on X-ray in England, and a week later it had gone. Coincidence, perhaps? Or have we got something that is actually rather beautiful? I know when you talk to so many people, especially in the West, that they immediately think of trickery, and this can't be true. It's, you know, they'll accept it happened 2,000 years ago.
I think we also think if this man is God, what's he doing handing jewellery around?
Well, he says it's his visiting card. Now, my father was a good example on this because eventually he came out, he's a retired scientist, and he thought I got involved with some cult that wanted my money, wanted me sign up, etc., and was amazed to find none of that applied. And he had some very close experiences which were very moving for him. And when he got home in England, Swami had given him a ring too, similar to this one. And when he sits at home, he's got that ring to remember what really happened. If he hadn't got that ring, he said, "David, I would think it was a dream I had."
When Sai Baba walks among his devotees, they'll try to pass him letters asking for help. Sometimes he'll give them the revered ash, the vibhuti, from his hand. Sometimes something more solid. Some devotees have actually married whoever Sai Baba told them to. One man proposed to the woman he thought Sai Baba had indicated, only to have him hoot with laughter and say, "No, no, wrong woman." The concert pianist was very careful when Sai Baba chose him a wife.
Said, "David, go and look for a wife. There's plenty of women out here." And I mean, for him to suggest that in the ashram, I mean, he's really, you know, his sort of sense of humour. And as I went out, word had got out that I needed a wife, you see. And so every lady that I met was saying, "Come and meet me at 8 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock tonight. I know the very person." Well, it ended up that they were all taking me to one very lovely Australian lady, you see. And I met her. And the next morning, Swami said, "Have you found somebody?" I said, "Yes, I found Faye from Australia, Swami." He said, "Oh, very good. Go and ask, go and ask." So
And bring and I will bless.
Yes, bring and I will bless. And so I went to Faye and I said, "Look, Swami says..."
Oh, my turn.
Go.
I'd met him the night before, and then he came in the next morning with some tapes of his music, which I thought was very prompt, and put them on the bed and turned to me and said, "I won't waste words, will you marry me?" And I said, "What? Where did that come from?" He said, "I've just come from interviews. Swami sent me," he said, "go and ask and bring and I will bless." So I said to him, "Well, you better get down on one knee and do it properly." So he did. He got down and asked me, and I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I will," because Swami had been teasing me for 4 years about this husband, and had actually told me 6 months before that he came up to me in darshan one day and said to me, "Where is husband?" And my look of astonishment, he said, "He's over there today." And I just got the giggles, because in the ashram I'm very good and I don't look at men, and I, you know, do my sadhana and keep very quiet and contained. And here he's telling me I've got a husband over there. But then 6 months went by and I came back for Christmas, and that's when I met David. And so I knew that Swami had been busy. So I said, "Well, yes, if that's Swami's will, yes."
Well, lots of friends in England have said you're crazy trusting a foreigner to do that, you know? But when I saw all the beautiful things he'd done around the world, well, if he was going to tell me what to do, I think he knew best. He sure does.
Before the wedding, David and Faye's families came out to Puttaparthi, and everyone was taken into the interview room to meet Sai Baba. Uniquely, the visitors were allowed to film here inside the interview room.
In interview at Christmas time, he said, "I have joined your hearts, minds and souls as one. And, you are now one." And that, for both David and I, is the biggest grace. So we married first and fell in love after. And,
that's great.
Yeah, that's Swami's sweetest gift.
Om Bhurvava Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Yo Yo.
Meditation is said to be a route to eternal truth. On stone slabs are some of Sai Baba's guidelines for living. Guidelines that are probably older than the 10 Commandments and still finding some sort of echo in every man. That what Sai Baba calls the human values have always been in all of us, however much we may forget them, is underlined in his Museum of Human Heritage. Emblems of all the great faiths of mankind are honored here. There's Hinduism's Wheel of Life, Judaism's Torah, Christianity's Nativity, Islam's Kaaba, and symbols of all the others: Buddhism, Confucianism, Baha'ism, Sikhism, Sufism, Vedantism, Zoroastrism, Shintoism, Taoism. There is no Sai Baba-ism, just his call to follow whatever ism you choose, including atheism and agnosticism, with the L word, love. There's a young Sai Baba. At 14, he declared himself the new incarnation of Shirdi Baba, the man also held to be an avatar, a god in human form. The youth conference is almost over. It's the last night, and each country's delegates do the numbers they've written for the occasion. This is the British contribution. Before he came out from England, Sudha said that he wanted to find out how to live his life. Now he's at the end of what has been a spiritual assault course. What has he learned?
I used to think that reality was a nice place to visit, but I hate living there. It's a quote by someone, I don't know who it was. I always used to believe that, but seeing that, just being in the festival, the singing festival, I thought I no longer believe that, because everyone was together. We were all clapping for each country, laughing together. It was different. I've never been in that place before. Again, that gave me a greater sense of strengthening after the event when you had the devil and how he turns into purity. He takes off his black mask and you get white. White clothes, white mask, everything. I like the transformation of darkness into purity. It's as if every one of us needs to cleanse ourselves and come out of our sins. That's why Sai Baba always talks about getting rid of our ego, our jealousy, our anger. I mean, Sai Baba has taught me a lot on how to be a good person. And I think that's the aim of my life, to be a good person and not just any person.
What about that wave of love that devotees say comes from Sai Baba? Did Laura experience that?
Right. Tell me about it. Well, it was only like for a few seconds, and I just felt, I don't know, like the world had stopped just for a moment, and I just felt this strong emotion inside myself. But that was the only time, and that's what worried me in a sense, because I see all around me all these people who seem to feel these powerful emotions, which I don't, and I keep saying, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me. It's me, and
I know the feeling. Kirsty, what about you?
I'm still processing my own emotions. I'm not quite ready to completely outpour them all, but the things that I have processed, I'm ready to share. And I just feel that I just felt a great deal of joy and peace. Swami emanates pure love and pure peace, and I think in darshan, like no matter how irritable you are, or like often I'd find I'd be in an irritable state and I didn't know why. And then as soon as the music came on and Swami came in, it just all went, and I was just pure love again.
And me? I'm up on my knees for a chance to go into that famous interview room. Agnostic still, and deeply skeptical of the idea of any holy man producing jewellery, however it's done, I want all the same to see for myself. I'm so intent on getting him to call me for an interview, I hardly notice when he puts ash into my hands. The ash that devotees treat with reverence, I actually wipe off. Others may be feeling that explosion of love that devotees talk about. I've just about given up hope of that. And I'm not clear whether he said just now that I could go to the interview room with him in a minute. I get up. I think Sai Baba did agree to my request, so soon I must go up to the front where the chosen wait to go into the room with him. Others are saying he didn't call me. Just after this, I went up to the front, got turned away and had to walk back to my place on the floor. Humiliation for your reporter. No interview with the man that many see as God on earth. Things got worse. Just before I was due to leave, Sai Baba called 10 people I knew for an interview and said I could go too. But through a series of errors, mainly mine, I didn't get the message till too late. I ran all the way to the interview room, but the door was shut.
Well, I've left the ashram angry and very confused. Is Sai Baba a man? Is he a very advanced man? Is he to spirituality what Einstein was to physics? Or is he a god? And what should I believe and should I follow? I'm on the horns of a dilemma, stuck between two quotations I can think of. On the one side there's the Christian sinner who said, "Make me good, Lord, but not yet." On the other side there's D.H. Lawrence, who wrote a poem called Snake, about how when he was living in New Mexico, a snake came to his water hole, and he looked at it and thought it was rather magnificent, but then out of fear he killed it. He ends the poem, and I had missed my chance with one of the lords of life.
Being agnostic was hurting. Couldn't I forget my doubts and just believe? Ahead of us, on their way home too, were some of the people who'd been in that interview with Sai Baba which I'd missed. They would stop the night at Bangalore. If I could catch them there at the hotel, with this morning still fresh in their memories, I could at least ask what it had been like.
Cooper, tell us about the most important thing that happened to you this morning in the interview room.
This morning, Swami asked to see a ring that he had given me 2.5 years ago, a diamond ring, and I showed it to him yesterday, actually, in Darshan, and the stone had come out of it, and I had lost it completely, and I held it up to Swami, and he took it, and he looked at it, and he said, "Where's the stone?" Really, with a big smile on his face, and I said, "Swami, I don't know, I lost it when I came here for 70th birthday." And he looked and he said, "Did you give it to your girlfriend?" And then in the interview, he passed the ring around to a few of the devotees, and people were saying, "Nothing, Swami, it's just a hole, it's empty." And he looked and he passed it and gave it away and got it back and gave it to some more people, and he finally took it. And he said, "What is there?" And when he held it out, he held out this ring. Beautiful diamond in it, exactly the same kind of stone, and like that, Swami had really made my life.
Is that the way you saw it, Sandra?
Well, I was sitting very close. I was sitting right in front, and I was sitting about there to Swami, and he'd just shown it to several people. He'd actually thrown it, tossed it very casually and light-heartedly at somebody, and they caught it and looked at it, and he said, "What is it? What is it?" look like to you? And they said, well, there's just a hole there in the ring, Swami. And he did it to David also. And they said the same thing, and then he took it back and he sort of smiled and he held it up so everyone could see him, just like that, and gave it to you, and there was the stone sparkling like that in the ring.
When everybody said, there's no stone, there is nothing, Swami said, but nothingness contains everything, which I thought was a very beautiful thing to say. We all perceived the same situation.
Now there was a young American guy in there. It was his birthday.
Yes.
What happened about that?
Well, that was very beautiful because Swami said to him, today is your birthday, your 18th birthday. And we all saw this most beautiful fruit, a golden plum growing in his hand. It was more pear-shaped.
When you say growing in his hand, can you describe exactly the process?
It just grew out of the palm of his hand. What else can I say? Except that it literally grew out of the palm of his hand, and then he captured it and gave it to the boy and said, eat it. It's your birthday.
As you were watching?
Yes, as we were watching.
The devotee who is a concert pianist asked Sai Baba, how do I tell people about you? If I say you're God, doors begin to close. Sai Baba told him, don't talk about me, I'm not the message. The message is love. Tell people we are all God, and God is love that can flow through us. And give them an example. Tell them love means sharing so that everyone has food and water and medicine.